Hello and welcome to the Expert Speaker Podcast, where we help speakers make more money and make a bigger impact. Today we have a special guest, one of my idols in the world of helping speakers become successful, one of the people who really set me straight at the beginning of my career, the one, the only, the incredible Jane Atkinson, the speaker launcher, is with us here today. Welcome, Jane.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be with your group.
Jane Atkinson, I am so excited to be having this conversation with you. When I first started as a speaker, found my way into CAPS, the Canadian Association of Professional Speaker, and people said, you gotta read The Wealthy Speaker by Jane Atkinson, and everybody says, pick a lane, pick a lane, pick a lane, like that is the thing. What does pick a lane mean, Jane?
Pick a lane means deciding on the topic and what you'd like to be known for 5 years from now. And there will be some people who have not picked a lane who are doing just fine in this industry. And so just know that there is no one way to do the business. What my experience has been over the last 30 years is that when people do pick a topic lane and they become known for one thing, it's very beneficial in terms of making your fees go up the ladder. The people who don't pick a lane may find themselves bumping their head on the ceiling of, trainer fees or something like that. They may be seen as the jack of all trades and the expert of none, and that may be limiting somewhat. Again, exceptions to every rule, but that's my take on things, and I've experienced it in my own career because I did try to step outside of my lane
Yes.
once or twice, and then went, oops, okay, I really should take my own advice.
Yes. Well, you're still in the lane that I met you in 2009, Montreal. There we were at the CAPS convention, and you achieved this status of a speaker, which is to be aspired to, which is to be unforgettable. I was on the edge of my seat, and I could not.
That's almost 10 years ago. Wow.
I know.
That's
you
awesome.
started your talk, and you said, imagine you're on a stage. You give your killer keynote. The crowd goes wild, the standing ovation. You come down to high fives and handshakes. You walk up to your client who's standing, smiling in the back of the auditorium, handing you a very large check. And you say to your client, did I meet your expectations? The client gives you the knowing nod. You exceeded my expectations. He says to you, you walk out, the limousine is waiting for you. As you sit into the limousine, you check your phone. The emails from your assistant says, you have 3 paid speaking gigs booked. Congratulations. Apparently the crowd loved you. They're going wild on social media. And then you said, imagine that for you. And I thought, that's what I want, Jane. And I could never forget it.
I love that that's really so ingrained. You said it better than I say it myself. And what's interesting is I've added a little piece onto the end of that now. So I've been using that piece. It's in the first of the book because really thinking about yourself on this large stage with 2,000 people, and it's like you feel like a rock star when you walk off the stage and then you get the check. $10,000 or $20,000 that makes you go, yeah, I am a rock star.
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe I get to do this for a living. Pinch me, because this is really quite crazy that we do get to get paid the types of amounts in this industry. And but one of the things I added to it for the road warriors, for the people who are out there doing 60, 70, 80 engagements a year, one of the phone calls that comes in the limo is that your favorite client right in your hometown called, and they wondered if you could do a 10-city tour all within driving distance of your house.
Oh, yeah.
You become, it's a whole different set of problems once you get out there and you're really speaking a lot.
Yeah.
And sleeping in your own bed becomes something that you just covet.
Mm.
So that's why we added that little piece at the end.
Very nice, very nice. And the magic of turning one client into 10 gigs and into tours and circuits is fantastic. So let's say we're starting off, from scratch.
Okay.
No paid speaking gigs, no website, no brand, no nothing. And we want to book ourselves a couple of paid speaking gigs. Where do we start?
Okay. Well, the first step is really to figure out what is it that you know that other people don't know. And a great question to ask yourself is, what problem can I help to solve? Because if you can solve a problem, especially for corporate does seem to be where the majority of the money is at in our industry. If you can solve a problem for them, they will pay to help that problem be solved. So what do I know that other people don't know? And who's going to buy this becomes question number one. Then we try to package that up into something that people might be interested in. And when we label things that are ours, then they become our own. You know, it could be that your information is a combination of 20 years of corporate experience plus, you know, the hundreds of books that you might have read along the way. Well, now you want to synthesize that into your own formula for success in whatever way you're applying that. And you want to label that so that people will know what they're getting when they get it. So that's kind of the first step, is really identifying your value and what problems you're going to help solve to people. And then we start to kind of move through this process of what I call ready, aim, fire. In the ready stage, we're getting crystal clear on what we're selling, and we might develop some language that identifies that. We call that the promise statement. And then once that's done, we move into aim. We develop some marketing materials, i.e. website, and we make sure that that promise statement is front and center so that no matter where people come in on our website, boom, they're going to understand the value we have. And then only then do we start firing that out to our target markets. So the ready, aim, fire process allows you to be where you are, and you don't have to jump ahead to fire if you're in ready. You know, you might think, oh, I need to get on the phone and start calling people, but really you need a lot of clarity before you begin that.
How long does that take? Say you're on a desert island, and in order to get home, you have to book a paid speaking gig, and you're saying, let's go through the ready, let's go through the aim, then let's book that speaking gig. If we had nothing else to do but just get that done, how long does that take?
Well, if you're building your own website on the island, then maybe you could have it done in a few days. But typically, you're going to take some time. You know, maybe it's about 3 months to get from ready to fire. I've had clients who it's taken much longer because, and let's just make sure that we say this for your listeners, getting caught up in perfectionism can really slow you down.
Sure.
And it's like, I don't want to launch my website until it's perfect. Well, guess what? Your website's never going to be perfect.
Yeah.
Launch it now and let's tweak it as we go. And so the other thing that can hold people up is a lack of clarity. And if you're like, why do I not want to start getting on the phone to call people? Clarity builds confidence, and the confidence is what you need to get on the phone with people. So I'd say really spend that time on the front end in the ready to make sure that you know what you're selling before you start selling it. So let's say logistically, maybe about 3 months.
So we start with an internal process of kind of organizing what are the last 20 years of milestones and experiences, and
What have I been really good at that nobody, you know, what do I know that nobody else knows, and what have I done really, really successfully in my own career over and over again?
Okay.
That's a great question to ask.
So let's say we do all that. We're organized. We got our beautiful logo, our great website. What's the process of booking the gig?
Booking the gig.
Who are we calling? What are we asking them? What are the steps? And what is the simplest, fewest steps where I go from I am going to wake up in the morning and book a speaking gig today to going through those steps and making it happen?
So let's say you've hit the ready and aim and you've got a website kind of ready to go. Now your goal is to plant seeds. And let's take Kindra Hall, for example. Kindra Hall, KindraHall.com. People can check her out and watch her video. Kindra decided, this was maybe 2 years ago, that she was going to launch her speaking career. She had her website done. She had a video done. It wasn't very good, but she had it done. She set about she's decided she was going to send out 600 emails. That was her path. So some people might call, some people might do other things, but Kendra's path was to do 600 emails. And so she decided to do 100 emails a week for 6 weeks. And fast forward 2 years later, Kendra might have accepted $2,500 for those initial keynotes that she went and did. Fast forward 2 years, now she's sitting around 18,000 US per speech, because the first group that she sent her emails to were the American Marketing Association. The American Marketing Association is housed of people at corporate jobs. So she did a number of either free or low paid speeches for AMA. That got the groundwork started. And she said to me at one point, we worked together for the first, I came in maybe 6 months into that first year, and we worked together for a year. She said, about halfway through, she said, originally it felt like me pushing the boulder up the mountain. And then once she got over the hill, she said, now it feels like the boulder's chasing me down the hill. And so her problems became a whole different set of problems once we got to the top and we're going down. She realized. But so she planted the 600 seeds, and that's what got everything started. This is a volume game, but I will say, making sure that your communications with clients are following the PUB method. This is an Aaron Gargan term who actually Kendra introduced me to. PUB stands for personal, useful, brief. Personal, useful, brief. So let's say you're doing outreach, and maybe you're doing it on LinkedIn. Same thing applies. Personal, useful, brief. When you send a long letter that's going to take a page, going to take a long time for somebody to read, there's a good chance they're just going to go delete, boom, gone. I just want to clear out my earring basket. I don't have time to read all that. So make it personal, make it useful, make it brief. And Kendra's letter started out, I think I would be a great fit for this particular convention, fill in the blank, not just when is your next convention, but this particular one that I know you have going on, and let me tell you why. And then she goes on to tell a little bit about her topic, link, would it be a good, should we have a chat, would you like to have a chat about this? One question kind of finishes it off. So the email campaign is a great idea, and I think it's probably the thing that most people are approaching their customers with at this point. But I have to tell you, this isn't a short turnaround type thing. If you do get on something, let's say you're doing training, the training idea can happen anytime, and it could be that it's 2 weeks out. That could be short time frames. Some of these big conventions that you're getting the $18,000 fee for, they might be booking you 10 months out.
Okay.
They want to secure you, and they know that
number change? So when do we get 3 months out versus 10 months out versus 18 months out? Is that based on the size of the conference, or is that a seasonal thing?
If you're doing an association event, which is typically where we point people towards to start, like Kendra did the AMA, the reason we do associations first is they have information online where you can see the date of the next event, and you're able to go to the client logically with that date. Corporate, you are not able to go online and see anything about what's going on.
There's no catalog of what's everybody doing.
There's no catalog of events that they're having. They want to keep that to themselves. So that's why we typically start with associations. So pick the industry, and then go after the associations that are in that industry. And I think you'll find that those engagements, let's say you just want to do some groundwork and see, is insurance even a good fit for me? Well, let me go out to my local market and try to get a gig booked for a month or two out at the local level.
Yes.
Local level, short term. State level, a little bit longer. National level, longer than that. And I apologize. You and I are both in Canada. 80% of my clients are in the States. So that's why I'm saying instead of local, provincial, national.
Sure. Very good. So industry lingo, what's the difference between training and speaking?
So, and I would say it's more keynotes versus training.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so speaking is speaking. You can speak, lots of things fall under speaking.
Sure.
So, keynotes, that's anything from a 30-minute keynote, which can can get knocked back when you are getting ready to go on stage. Sometimes they knock back your time, so you have to be prepared for that. It could be 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes, or 90 minutes. And what your goal is to find your sweet spot. Your sweet spot might be a 60-minute keynote. But I think actually clients, the attention span of audiences is going down, which is
Yeah.
why TED Talks are so amazing. And so I think we're going to find that they keep getting shorter and shorter. But just know that you may be asked for any of those lengths. So that's a keynote.
Yeah.
And people say keynotes aren't supposed to be interactive and what have you, but I don't know. I think lots of things work in keynotes, and I think you find what works best for you. I know one of my clients, Ryan Estes, he walks down the stairs and he's out and around the client and having
Yeah.
conversations with them and out and around the audience, I should say. So I would say, all rules are just that, break them if you want to and see what
Sure.
works for you.
Sure. So the norm is a keynote is kind of a one way. The engagement might be as much as a raise your hand or laugh at my joke, but not a whole lot of conversation.
Turn to your partner and ask the
Sure.
question and then do this. I think the more you can get it more like rather than a lecture, right? That's what we used to sit in school and the teacher would talk for a long time and we'd fall asleep in the back of the room. Think of it more like a tennis game where it's going back and forth to the audience and you. You're there, you're having a conversation. That's the goal,
Got it.
okay?
Got
And
it.
so you're asking them questions and you're getting some feedback from them. You can have them yell out things. I mean, I love an interactive keynote. Okay, so that's one aspect. Anything else would probably be pushed over into the training realm. It could be training, it could be breakout sessions, it could be workshops, it could be full day seminars. There's lots of different ways of calling it that. Most of my clients who might be going to do big, say, association events, they may go in the morning, do the keynote, the opening keynote for the day, and then they may also book a breakout later that afternoon. And a breakout is typically one that you can choose amongst different sessions. There are concurring things going on at the same time. So if you did a bang up job that morning, your room's going to be packed in the afternoon. And to me, that's a great way for you to go deeper with a client and for them to just love you that much more and for the spin-off to go up. Spin-off is the name of the game. We want one event to turn into 3 events.
Sure. Sure.
Okay, that's our goal. And that's how you know whether or not your speech is really working. If you go and do a keynote and a breakout session and there's no spin from that, then there may be a little bit of a problem there.
Very good. Very good. I want to dive into the spin-off and how to turn 1 into 3. But first, I want to recap real quickly. So conferences, you got the main stage and the keynote and everyone's in the main room. And then the concurrent sessions or the breakout sessions, we're talking about multiple things happen at the same time. The crowd is frantically running into the hall saying, which one are you going to? Okay, I'm going to go to that one. You go to this, let's go. And then, what? Okay, couple questions about the concurrent sessions before we go into the how to make the spinoff.
They can also be called plenaries, I think.
Ooh.
I think that might be a language.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is anybody getting paid for those?
Yes, at both levels. So the keynotes will get the highest fees, and you'll also see keynotes at different main stage things at different times. So there'll be keynotes in the morning to get the day going. There probably is going to be a luncheon keynote, and then there may also be keynotes at the end part of the day. So that's oftentimes how a convention is laid out. Those are the ones that are going to get the highest fees, and often they're looking for one name. So here in Canada, it might be an Olympic athlete. It might be, somebody who has the, best-selling book or what have you. In the States, it becomes a whole host of, it could be a Harvard professor or a big blogger or somebody who's like a YouTube star. And the same thing goes in Canada too, but there just seems to be a wider range of options there for who might take your job as a professional speaker. There could be a lot of other people competing for your business. So then the breakouts, sometimes they do have a budget for those. It just all depends on the association.
So we got breakouts. Now, if we're strategizing, we say, okay, I'm going to this conference. I say there's sort of 3 levels of engagement with a conference. The one level is you're an attendee.
Mm-hmm.
The next level is you have a breakout session.
Mm-hmm.
The level above that is you have a keynote session.
Mm-hmm.
And so at these kind of 3 levels of engaging with the people who are running the conference, and your goals are, I want to get booked, paid for the next one of these conferences, and I want to use this opportunity where I'm networking here, either speaking or not speaking, or main stage or not, to turn this experience into 3 more gigs. What's my battle plan? What's my tactics and strategies to use that conference?
The best form of marketing is a great speech. Okay, that's job 1. Okay. If you want to add on to that, when you are actually speaking, you create a lot of social buzz before, during, and after. Encourage people to really use the event hashtags so that the event coordinators can see how much buzz came from your session. There's a very good chance who booked you will not be in the room that moment.
Is there anything you can do to get that person in the room?
Oh, you can try. You can
Anything
invite them, but they're likely
works?
running around like a chicken with their head cut off doing
Yeah.
other things. And so I think your goal is to at least have them poke their head in the room for a little bit of time so that they can see what's happening. And hopefully they do it at a good point in in the presentation.
Yeah.
But hopefully they'll see you on the main stage as well. But I would say before, during, and after buzz. So you start promoting it. Social has really become our friends. It used to be that we said, oh, please put your phones away. Yeah. That, that's not going to fly in today's world. So you really want to utilize this, and you want to have the event hashtag and your handle on every page and make it easy. We really don't want to ask them to do lots of different things. I would say funnel all of your focus towards one thing. So invite people to tweet during your presentation, and just do Twitter. And then you can make sure you do the event hashtag so that and that way you can say, so that Linda knows that we're having a good time in here, let's make sure we use the event hashtag.
Very good.
Okay, so we're being very specific and very intentional about it. And same thing would go in the breakout session if you did more than one event.
Let's talk about speak to sell for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Using the conference to get clients, what are the ethical lines, the spoken and unspoken rules about, can you pitch from the stage, or is there things that you should do, shouldn't do? Is it a definitely don't do when you receive a fee? What are your thoughts on that?
So I remember, and I probably wrote this in one of the books, I remember once someone telling me that they had paid an obscene amount for a speaker. Let's say it was $50,000.
Wow.
And said speaker used up 8 minutes of their 60 to pitch his products. And they broke it down how much per minute that cost, and boy, were they angry. Mm-hmm. So we don't want to do that. We want to do things in a way that endears the meeting professional to us, the decision maker. And they don't want a big sales pitch. So what we want to do is kind of plant subliminal little seeds throughout the presentation. So what does that look like? I might say, let's say I'm giving this speech, I might say, now when I was writing The Wealthy Speaker 2.0, and I might hold up the book and I might go to a specific page, this was a quote that somebody gave me. Brian Palmer from National Speakers Bureau said, clients don't want to hire speakers anymore. They want to hire smart people who happen to speak. Boom, that's right here on page 68. close the book, put it aside. Okay, that's a subliminal little plug for something. Okay, so
Mhm.
in my mind, in my mind, that's for the book. But then you might also say, I was flying out to such and such a place because such and such a company hired me as they had this problem.
Uh-huh.
And then you're kind of sharing a story, a case study about it that doesn't have to do anything, but you've planted the seed. Oh, this person gets hired to speak. Or the story might be, I was consulting with a group and this was their problem, blah, blah, blah. Now you've planted the seed, this person consults. So that's from the perspective of someone who is actually a professional speaker
Yeah.
and wants to speak to sell.
Yeah.
Now, if we flip the switch and you're just someone who wants to speak to sell your service,
Yep.
and that's all you're doing. So I go and speak to groups of chiropractors because I have a book on blah, 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 how to run your chiropractor business.
Sure.
That's a different approach than what we're talking about, but some of the ideas can apply.
Mhm. Mhm.
When you say speak to sell, do you mean speak to sell more of what you're
Yeah,
offering?
yeah.
Okay.
If you're speaking on the 7 new trends in social media, and you would love it if 3 people from the audience came and said, "Hey, we want you to do our social media for,
Or come and take our course or whatever it might be. And
sure,
so your goal is to get everybody in that audience into your database,
yeah,
and you're going to need to have a very good call to action on that. I kind of kick it old school because I usually only do 3-hour seminars. By the end of 3 hours, people are really familiar and you can really ask for a lot. We give stuff away and we collect business cards, which puts us in control. The
hmm
business cards get scanned into Infusionsoft, tagged audience member. They get an email that says you were in Jane's audience. Here's another tip. P.S. You can unsubscribe at any time. And so we tell them as we're doing the draw if they want to unsubscribe to write it on the card or something like that.
And so, what happens to the lead or the new audience in your tribe now in your database? What are they buying, and how are you moving them through the process
They
of?
go into a funnel. And for a new audience member, we would have one funnel, but we have funnels that go in several different directions depending on which bucket people come in.
Yeah.
So our goal is to put them into the emerging speaker bucket because we're going to send them towards our online course. Then we have an intermediate bucket and we're going to send those folks to our mastermind. And then we have a seasoned bucket, and they're the people that might come and coach privately with me. So at every price point, we start at 1,500, working our way all the way up to $10,000.
hmm
So we're making sure that they go through the process based on the bucket.
Very good. Very good.
And I'll say that's our intention. We don't do everything beautifully or perfectly at all. We always are working out bugs. We are
Yeah.
always, there are always misses in the processes. So please don't think that we have it all together because we really don't.
Oh, well, those funnels look so amazing on those marketing videos where you just see the magical dollars just going boop, boop, boop.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
when you put it all together, it gets pretty hairy.
yeah.
So you've been around in the industry for a while. You were there on day one, already established, my day one anyway.
hmm
We're almost 10 years later now. What have you seen changed in the speaking industry, and what is the crystal ball future of the speaking?
Future. Well, 30 years it's been since I got into it. And so I started as an agent selling speakers. And then I worked under the roof of a speakers bureau in Dallas for 6 years. And then I came back up and started my own business. So I've been about 10 plus years on my own here doing my thing. And I will say that when I first got into the business, people just wanted to hire a professional speaker. That was what it was. And over time, everybody became our competition.
Mm,
Bloggers, YouTubers, Harvard professors, best-selling authors, all of those people are now, even though they're not quote unquote professional speakers, people want to know. Entrepreneurs who've had success
yep,
get called to go on the big stage and say, tell us about your success, right?
yep.
And so now that's how the business has evolved significantly. Also, during the major decline in the economy. I can't remember how many years ago it was now when the economy blew up. What happened was, and all of the controversy happened about the meetings industry. Why are companies spending so much money on their meetings, blah, blah, blah. Now it became about return on investment. So it used to be that you could just go in and tell some good stories and have a good time with your audience and you get paid. But then it became more about ROI, and they needed to justify the money that they were spending. And so now we all have to show the value of what we're offering, and we need to really, and because of all the noise out there, think about social media noise, how much is coming at you. If you're a decision maker, you're seeing so much. You need to rise up above all that noise to get noticed. And I think really there's no like, blah, here I am, this really works. I think it's just consistently doing good work and putting your message out there through various mediums, podcasting, blogging, sending a broadcast to your list, and social media that points to all those directions. I think that is your best form of search engine optimization. I think that is your best way to get noticed, because eventually you're going to come across their radar. And then the goal is that clients are out there talking about you and saying, well, we had this speaker and they were really, really good. That's what we want, is we want to just create buzz. Right now, Ryan and Kendra are two of the it children that I have going, and they're so hot that everybody's talking about them, and their calendars for 2018 are almost full.
Where are they talking about them? Is there some water cooler where all the event planners with big budgets stand around and talk about their speakers? Do they get together? How do they talk to each other?
Well, there are MPI, Meeting Professionals International. That is a thing. They do all gather at that. There are lots of industry associations where people might gather. And I think it really is, let's say if I am doing decision making for my company, I'm going to talk to other people, absolutely, whether it be on social media, probably in LinkedIn groups, and there's lots of different ways for people to gather. There is no one water cooler, but there are lots of ways for them to hang out.
So over the years, it transformed from just a good time and a good speech to now we got this ROI business. Now everybody's talking to each other online. Reputations are spreading quickly. We've got all these multifaceted social media and websites, and you got to be producing content, and you're an expert, and you're competing with everybody. What is the future for speakers?
I think the future will remain the same as it was 30 years ago, in that you just have to be good.
Got to be good.
Let's get back to the basics, so that one speech turns into 3 speeches, and that way you will be solidifying yourself. I always say that there's no better form of marketing than a great presentation. So get the one that turns into many. And I remember this amazing woman. I don't know if I can remember her name right now. I can picture her. But anyway, she's from Phoenix, and she ran her own event in the Phoenix, Scottsdale area. I think she put 200 people into a room for kind of like her own showcase. We talk about this in the book, or how to run your own showcase. And Glenna Salisbury, that's her name. And Glenn is at kind of the twilight of her career right now. And looking back, she said that those original 200 people that I put in that room, I can attribute about 80% of my business throughout the course of my 30-year career coming back to that. Because one led to 3, led to 3, led to 3, led to 3. And, that she said there was some bureau business that came in that was completely out, but so really being good, I think, is probably the best message I can give your listeners and viewers.
That's good. That's good. Jane, so this is in your book, this showcase formula, how to run
your own showcase. That is
business on fire.
That's in that's in the back of the book. We did it for the very first speaker I ever worked for here in Little London, Ontario. And that truly was the beginning of something great. We doubled her business every year for 3 years.
That sounds like an okay resource to have. Wealthy Speaker 2.0, the book,
Yes.
available on Kindle, Amazon, your website. Where are we going
It's
for that?
available everywhere, but if they come over to speakerlauncher.com to purchase it, that will actually give them access to any other tips that we have that come down. We do a broadcast every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time that's really designed to help you build your business. And we do those on Tuesdays, and then we put out our own podcasts every Thursday. So if you're interested in learning, just sit there and absorb. You don't even have to buy anything. Just sit there and absorb everything that we have.
What's your podcast called?
Our podcast is called the Wealthy Speaker Podcast, or the Wealthy Speaker Show.
Very good. Very good.
Also available on iTunes, Stitcher, and now Google Play.
Okay, so go to Jane's website.
It's speakerlauncher.com.
Oh, got it. Okay, so I have one more question for you, and then I
Sure.
will start to wrap up. Speaker Bureau. Say I'm
Yes.
starting out. I'm starting out. I want to maybe land my first paid gig, or maybe I've been paid once or twice, and I just want someone to go out and get those gigs for me, right? I
You
want
and
to,
everybody else.
yeah. So is a bureau going to want me? How do I get in a
No,
bureau? Should I even go for a bureau? Let's say I'm willing to
no.
part with 50% of my speaker fee. What's the deal with bureaus?
You probably would be ready for a bureau. We do also talk about that in the Wealthy Speaker. You really aren't ready for the bureaus until your fee is sitting probably between $7,500 on up, and when you have a really, really epic video online of you speaking. So you really need to get the big stages in order to get the big stages. So one of the tips that I'll give you that Kendra shared is that during one of our live events, she was kind of divulging all of her secrets. She said, had a policy in the early days, we'll speak for video. And so
That's good.
the bigger the stage, the more she was ready to do it. And so she might have had to negotiate her fee in order to get those big stages, but she made those big stages happen. The big stages are what will get you more big stages. If you want to be a big stage speaker, that is your goal, is to get big stage video and big stage photos to put on your website, so that when people go there, they go, ah, okay, I see where they belong. You know, 2 iMags on either side of you, brilliant. That is the best scenario you can get. The bureaus will not launch your business. They likely will not really even want to talk to you until you have some business on your own. So they are not speaker launchers at all.
Bureaus do not launch speakers. Bureaus are for speakers who have hit 7,500 and up.
There's the odd person who comes out of, let's say they have some fame. Antoinette Huff is someone that I just talked to about a year ago. Her movie about her life as a school worker who saved a whole bunch of children from a gunman in Atlanta. She can call the bureaus. The bureaus will answer her call because the movie of the week is happening about her now.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be some exceptions to everything we've talked about, depending on your level of fame or notoriety in that moment. The bureaus may be interested if your notoriety looks like it could lead to something long term.
Very good. Wow. Okay, so there can be the exception to the rule. If you do happen to have some crazy thing that makes you famous, you could probably find a little shortcut. But for the rest of us, we work one conference at a time. We turn that one conference into 3 more conferences.
One
with
turns
a
to
great
3.
speech. Now you have a book called
Epic Keynote.
The Epic Keynote.
Yes.
And that teaches people how to rock the stage, get the standing ovation, deliver this speech that you got to have.
Yeah, the Epic Keynote will be a 1 to 3. That's what's going to help you get those spin-offs. So it's a good combo to grab.
The 1 to 3, yeah. Every speech you give, get 3 more speeches, and then you don't need to advertise anymore because you're just that good. Cool. Well, Jane, you don't need to advertise anymore because you're just that good. You've
You're sweet.
been a North Star in my speaking career for the last 10 years. You are so wise, and this has been so useful, even for me after 10 years in the business.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. So for those of you who loved today's podcast, make sure you comment on it and give it the thumbs up and give it the 5 stars and share it with your friends. And get yourself over to speakerlauncher.com to get a copy of The Wealthy Speaker 2.0. Jane, any final words, final thoughts you'd like to share with the audience?
Well, I do want to just say that encouragement is something that I think you will find is easy to get in our community. We are a nice group of people over here in the speaking industry, and my goal was never to make anybody feel bad that they're doing it wrong. It's always just, okay, this is where you are, here's where you want to go next. Okay, and so just know that wherever you are, if it feels like you're at the very beginning, please know that there are lots of us out here to help cheerlead you on and encourage you to go for your dream, because that's what really this is all about. Like, we're living a dream in this industry. It is an amazing place to be. So if you're new to it, welcome.
Welcome to Living the Dream, and thank you for being on the podcast. We'll see you in the next one, the Expert Speaker Podcast. Thanks again, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Expert Speaker Podcast. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and leave us a rating so that more people can discover the Expert Speaker Podcast and so more people can be empowered to share their message. Be sure to go to www.expertspeaker.com and take the masterclass to learn how to grow your business and make money speaking. It's totally free and will change your business. If you're ready to work with Expert Speaker, you can apply. Just go to expertspeaker.com/apply, and someone from our team will be in touch with you to help you grow your business with public speaking. That's expertspeaker.com/apply. We'll see you in the next episode.